with her gold glove, but she's doing it in the box. She's a force to be reckoned with, and even if she's not getting a hit, she has such a huge intimidation factor about her.
See the mammoth power numbers from a year ago. Meanwhile, Corby Otis in left field led the country in walks last year, was the beacon of consistency.
I would hate to face her. If she's not getting a hit, I'm probably going to put her on. She is gritty, she's tough, and she's a great outfielder.
One of those 4 All-Americans that return for a Hall of Famer in Tim Walton, and perhaps a soon-to-be Hall of Famer in her own right down the line. That is Keegan Rothrock. She will see the start, the sophomore from Whiteland, Indiana. She's a lot healthier, according to this staff, coming into her second year. Alicia, what do you expect from her?
Not only is she healthier, but she's playing a little bit more free. Coach Walton said you will see a rise curve drop and change out of her. She can't throw it at multiple levels. And that's another player that's just gritty on the mound.
Off we go to start a new season as Lauren Brock stands in, fouls it away. There you see North Florida. They're tied for the preseason top spot in the A-Sun polls, coming off a 35-win season. Head coach Jeff Conrad saying this is the deepest team we've had. Much more complete offense. Last year led the A-Sun in home runs. They needed to go out and get a little bit more balance, and they did so in the transfer portal. They lost 9 seniors from a team that lost in walk-off fashion in the A-Sun championship game. But they have a lot of experience, and like we mentioned, the ability to play that short game, that balance. As Rothrock deals it high, 1 ball, 2 strikes, a beautiful evening that will turn into night for opening night here in Gainesville. 73 degrees. It's a night you dream about. And for a lot of these Gators, seeing their first action in Gator uniforms, and there is strike 3 to get Rothrock's season started. 1 away as Brock goes down looking.
Rothrock is just so good, setting the tone with this low rise ball on the outer half, just freezing Brock. Can't wait to see what she does this year.
Get into the year that Keegan Rothrock had a season ago as Kelsey Vogel stands in. The starting second baseman swats the first foul. But Rothrock was a third-team All-American. She was the SEC Freshman of the Year, top 3 finalists for Division I Freshman of the Year, first freshman All-American pitcher for the Gators since, as this is bounced to second base, we leave you in suspense as Mia Williams takes center stage for out 2. That would be Alicia Ocasio in 2015.
Twin.
That's right.
You know, seeing Keegan Rothrock battle last year was so impressive. I don't remember the last time the Gators had a pitcher in the circle that garnished so many innings as Keegan Rothrock did, and not being fully healthy at the same time. It's impressive.
The next is swung on Allison Benning, who last year was an All-American. She goes down quickly, and the Ospreys go down quietly. It's North Florida nothing, and we have all awaited the return of this outstanding offense. Last year set records. They'll come up when you come back in the home first.
Coaches had nothing but great things to say about her and how impressed they were with her spin rate. She's going to throw that curve that just jumps. That screw. I mean, she throws 62, but they had nothing but great things to say about her. And it speaks volumes that she's starting here on opening night against the Florida Gators.
Yeah, that spin rate is something that really stood out to the staff in recruitment as Kendra Falby stands in. Audible strike call. Jason Smith is our home plate umpire. KJ Bessemer at first. Kevin Bessemer is at third. There you see the starting 9 for the Hall of Famer Tim Walton. Kendra Falby at the top. That top 5 is lethal. And we'll get into the freshman Taylor Shoemaker, who is on deck. A lot of preseason hype for her. But also for the Odessa, Florida native, that is Kendra Falby. Last year led the SEC in hits. 9th all-time in Florida history with 247 knocks. Jams this in the air down the right side, foul.
Kendra Falby's one of those players that can do it all. Last year we saw her stand in a little bit more than she has in previous years, but she really can just lay down a bunt, has such a long stride, is able to take 2 right under your nose.
Last year had those struggles in the postseason, but came through against Oklahoma. The 1-2 is a check swing foul off the catcher Mackenzie Woods. One of the real memorable moments for the Gators last year, that remarkable run. Nobody thought the Gators, for the most part, as we take a look at that check swing foul off the catcher, One of the youngest teams in the country, Alicia, found themselves into the 12th World Series under Tim Walton. And they were just mere outs away from upsetting the dynastic Oklahoma Sooners. And it was Kendra Falby who had an inside-the-park home run and a 9-3 win to force an if-necessary game against the Sooners. And then the next day, in that said if-necessary game, it was the Gators who were walked off. It was Corby Otis who would just watch the game-winning solo shot go out to left field, and the Sooners would eventually win the national championship. And now Texas and Oklahoma enter the fray. Both will come to KSP this year.
I'm not sure how I feel about that, Kyle. They're such competitive teams, and the SEC's already competitive. It's only going to make it that much more hard to compete. But I think it's going to be fun to watch.
2-2. Falby slaps this foul.
Talk about the dynasty that Patty Gasso created at Oklahoma, and Coach Mike White at Texas, and what they've done. And now they're entering the hardest conference.
Now, Coach Gasso, the Team USA head coach that was announced the other day.
Congratulations.
Taking over for Heather Tarr. 2-2 to Falby go around. They say no. Third base umpire Kevin Bessemer take another look. What do you think, Lily?
Wrist definitely rolled a little bit on that one, but in real time, it didn't look like she went.
That bounces to the backstop. Look out. Kendra Falby does stop at first. Greeted by a Gator Hall of Famer. That's Francesca Anea down the line. Just waiting for that hand slap. There you go, Francesca and Kendra. Congratulations to Francesca. This fall went into the Florida Athletics Hall of Fame. Well deserved. Big part of what created this Gator behemoth that it's become. Taylor Shoemaker, we'll get into her. A lot of preseason hype for the freshman. First one to her is a strike. Native of Fullerton, California, so another of those California Gators that takes the pipeline out east to the Sunshine State. Ranked as the 21st best freshman at D1 Softball Top 100. Gets jammed in the air, shallow right center field. It's playable. Coming over to make the catch is Chloe Colt for out number one. I was told too, Alicia, that even Taylor Shoemaker's outs, some of the missed hits go a long way. That one was just a shallow fly out.
I think a little bit thinner air that might have been out. How much she muscled it, but that just goes to show. We talked about Taylor Cook and how much that curveball breaks over, broke right into Shoemaker's hands, got her to pop up.
Here's now Corby Otis, featured her in the open, part of his deadly top five. That even expands even further in this lineup this year. Falby takes off, throw from Woods, high and wide. Falby's in. Kendra Falby, her opening theft of a new year. Last year, 19 stolen bags.
We talked about how long her stride is, how good of a jump that she gets. If she gets a single, you might as well give her a double. She's going to steal.
64th career, or 83rd career stolen base for Kendra Falby. That's 9th in Florida program history. Part of that dynamic duo, Alicia, at the top. And we'll talk about the exit of Skylar Wallace, who's since graduated, but in her 3 years here, Skylar was one of the greatest Gators to ever put on the uniform. Now you have to replace that production at shortstop. And near the top of the lineup. 2-0 on its way. Otis chips this foul behind home.
Yeah, that's a scary 1-2 punch when you've got Kendra Falby and Skylar Wallace at the top of the lineup. Two players that have some pop, some speed. I say some speed, really a lot of speed.
Yeah.
Kind of scary.
2-1. Otis swings, clocks one in the air to left field. Beavis angles back to the warning track. Opening night dinger for Corby Otis. Welcome to 2025 for number 33. Alicia just picking up where she left off a season ago.
You're exactly right, and that's exactly why she is a first-team All-American, taking this pitch, a mistake, left high in the zone, and just hits a moonshot over left field. You can expect a lot of that this season from Corby Otis.
We'll talk as this game goes along a little bit about Corby Otis's off-season. Spent a lot of time in an internship at UF Shands. Here's Jocelyn Erickson now, takes first pitch outside. And oh, by the way, you give up a 2-run home run to Corby Otis. Now you welcome in the SEC Player of the Year and the Division I Player of the Year, according to the NFCA, Jocelyn Erickson. Takes the next for a strike, 1-1, had 86 RBI. That was a single-season program record, surpassed Megan Bush, along with 15 home runs.
I trust the Player of the Year.
Talk about the production that they had last year in the lineup with Kenja Falby and Skylar Wallace and replacing that production. And you've got Corby Otis hitting with power, Jocelyn Erickson driving them in. That's a deadly combo. But like you said, I'm excited to see Shoemaker and what she can provide to this lineup.
Rips this on the ground to second. Short shovel for Kelsey Vogel. And Erickson is retired for out number 2. 2-0 Gators lead on the Otis 2-run home run. That brings in now Reagan Walsh, who had the best year of her Gator tenure a season ago. A senior from Redondo Beach, California. She'll play a different role this season at first base. Originally came to the Gators as a shortstop, played some second, last year some third, and goes all the way around the diamond. Now as a first baseman. They've been really impressed by her defense and adjusting to that position. Had a 19 home run season last year. 1-0. And that hit her.
Looks like it clipped it inside of her elbow. We need to get her an Evo shot.
I know, right? Let's see. Had that guard, but it hit the back arm, I believe, Alicia.
Yeah, it's not a
Guard
not a
doesn't do
fun,
you any good, right?
No, not a fun place to get hit. Definitely see some black and blue there.
How about this? Welcome to your living rooms for the first time in a Gator uniform. Kenley Cahalen transferred over from the Alabama Crimson Tide. 2 seasons there as 2 years of eligibility remaining. Had to replace Ariel Kowalewski, who since transferred in the offseason to Texas A&M. He had an opening in the left side. Takes the first out for ball 1. Along with Riley Holtorf, who's come over as one of those 3 transfers. She made that switch from shortstop now to the hot corner at third. And Tim Walton feels like she has all the tangibles and intangibles to be a plus third baseman. As we'll have an early meeting, Amber Pfizer, a Minnesota Golden Gopher great pitching coach for the Ospreys, comes out to talk with Taylor Cook.
I've been lucky enough to have been playing with Pfizer for a few years now, and Coach Conrad had nothing but great things to say about her and how she's made a big impact on the staff and the team. We just came in to talk to Cook and calm her down a little bit. Got a runner on first.
Cook will use that changeup, also from California. Takes on the lefty Cahalen after the meeting. Deals strike 1. Curve, screw, rise for the right-hander. Curve is her best pitch. The 1-1, just a little out, 2 balls and a strike. And you wonder what that heartbeat is like for Kenley Cahalen here. Well, played the Gators in the World Series last year as a member of the Alabama Crimson Tide. Curls this foul, 2-2.
She's been on big stages before, but it's something about the first game of the year and being in a new uniform that probably has her a little bit nervous, but good nerves. I mean, this is exactly where she wants to be, which is why she chose to transfer to the orange and blue.
Count now full. She's now started all 127 games of her career. Last year was an all-SEC performer. Hit 296. That was a tick up from her freshman year. Power was down a little bit. The payoff is drilled in the air. Right center field has some jolt behind it to the wall, and it's caught. Out in center field, Kaylin McCarthy brings it back into the yard. Spoils the Cahalen debut right at the wall in right center. Gators almost had their second long ball of their first trip to the plate in 2025. McCarthy take a bow. Gators up 2-0. Couldn't script it any better in terms of the weather here for opening night. We mentioned 73 degrees at first pitch from Keegan Rothrock just past 6 o'clock Eastern. Corby Otis not wasting any time, has already left the yard. 2-0 Gators in front. Hadley Reichert leads off the Osprey away second. We had a near debut Kenley Cahalen home run as well for the Gators, just missing a home run out to right center. 7-pitch first for Rothrock, and that's the first hit for the Ospreys. Opposite field single from one of the core returners in Hadley Reichert, starting shortstop.
That was barrel. And a ground ball and 3-4 hole. Got that pitch outside from Rothrock, and all she had to do was get behind it, and it was a solid hit.
Got to find ways to fight off that velocity of Keegan Rothrock. Brings in now Mackenzie Woods. First base runner here for the Ospreys. I was at the scrimmage the other day. Gators did a walkthrough a few days before this game tonight. Got a chance to sit behind the backstop with Rothrock pitching, and it's a unique perspective, one you don't get a whole lot in our position because, you know, we're up a little bit here in the booth, but she was pumping gas. The 1-0 is laid down. Walsh staggers off the bag. Foot race. Woods will reach. Gators got caught in between. Walsh was coming in. It was kind of no man's land right side of the diamond. 2 on, nobody out.
I think that was perfectly placed. You see Walsh, her first step is in, goes back, doesn't expect her to punt, but Woods lays it down in the perfect position to now have runners on first and second. So I think her first step kind of messed that one up a little bit.
Yeah, Alicia, was there anything that Reagan Walsh could have done differently? I think it was just perfectly placed down that right side. Is there any way that could have turned into an out? Was there a different route that maybe had to be taken on that ball?
Well, she was back towards the base, but I think her first step and then her hesitation going forward kind of stunted her from making a play, even if she didn't have the opportunity.
Let's take another look at it, Alicia. So Reagan Walsh going back to the bag, kind of staggered steps at that point. It just seems like it's perfectly placed. Of course, Reagan Walsh, this is a new position for her as well, so has to get used to that area of the infield dirt. Kirsten Caravaca.
Typically when Coach Walton has the first baseman back, you kind of have to expect the pitcher to get those balls that are in no man's land on the right side of the field.
Be interested to see, talk to the coaches after the game and ask them about that play. Caravaca pulls back, takes ball 2. Caravaca also part of the minimal players that are returning here for the Ospreys. They lost 9 seniors from last year. The 2-0 is pumped in for a strike. Jeff Conrad had told us earlier today that this is the deepest team that he's had in his tenure. This is just his 3rd year, but had spent 6 seasons as an associate head coach prior. 2-1, bunt popped up. Walsh comes in, a headlong catch. Put a star next to that one. Walsh on a Superman dive.
Wow, we're making web gems on a Thursday. Reagan Walsh said, not again. No, no, no. Lays out completely horizontal to get this ball and save a sacrifice bunt. Runner still on first and second.
That's one way to make up for that bunt. Make a diving catch at first.
That's just fun to watch.
Yeah. Chloe Culp, former Florida State Seminole, swings through strike 1. The ball tends to find you, right? When you're playing a new position or you enter in the game late. You learn that early in Little League. The ball always finds you.
It does, especially when you're not feeling great.
They really like her glove at first. 0-2 now to Culp.
Well, a lot of colleges will typically recruit shortstops. It's not everyone's philosophy, but typically shortstops are the most athletic on the field, and I think that's why her glove is so good. She's so used to making those big-time plays there, and it's an easy transition to other positions.
Remember, she came to Gainesville as a shortstop, played her first games at shortstop, and then Skylar Wallace had redshirted her first year due to the transfer rules. She flipped over to second base, last year primarily was a designated player, but did get some run at third base. And they've been trying to find her a position. And they feel like first base with the graduation of Avery Gales could be a perfect fit. Foul tip at home plate, caught a piece of Erickson.
That's why it's so important to continue to play multiple positions growing up. Because if you can hit, Coach will find a way to put you in the lineup. And you can't deny Reagan Walsh, and Coach Walton has figured out a way to keep her in there and then also put her on defense.
And chances are, once you get to this level, you might not play the position that you played in club and high school because you're battling with a bunch of athletic players. You got to find a way to get in the everyday lineup. Case in point, Taylor Shoemaker is out and right. She's been a lifelong center fielder. No balls, 2 strikes to Chloe Culp. Fouls this back again.
Another point, I came in as a shortstop, and I think...
Yeah, you played everywhere.
Well, I was in the depth chart after Alberta at shortstop when I came in.
You couldn't crack that spot.
I couldn't, and I didn't want to. Katie Medina had it locked down, and I was perfectly okay with that.
There's Taylor Shoemaker, part of an outstanding defensive outfield. 2 strike toss. Bounces in, stays in front of Erickson. Late break for both runners, and they will move up. A wild pitch sets up second and third now.
That's the perfect scenario for the Ospreys. After that sack bunt, not getting down, you see here, this ball kind of tails in the dirt, gets away from Erickson, and they're able to take one.
Long battle here with Chloe Culp, the number 7 batter. Squibs this back to Rothrock. Runners stay put right on target to first for a big second out. Well, for the Ospreys, a chance to try and make some noise here in the bottom third of their lineup. A lineup that led the A-Sun in home runs last year. First one dealt in for a strike to Lauren Beavis. New addition to the roster here for Jeff Conrad, former South Florida Bull. Coming back to her home city, Jacksonville, Florida. Went to Creekside High School. Foul tips the next back to the screen.
Lauren Beavis, one of 3 captains on this team. Coach Conrad couldn't say enough about those transfers and how they completed the dynamic of their offense. He spoke about their home runs, but these 3 transfers brought a ton of small ball to their squad.
Well, Beavis, first 2 years was sub 130 on the average. Took a big jump last year at 286. High on base. Had a career high on base last year. That's part of that balance that Jeff Conrad was looking for in his lineup. 0-2. Strike 3. Another Keegan K. That strands 2. Second strikeout for the Gators star. As we are now middle of 2, the Gators in front here on opening night. This thing started here in a new season. 2025 is underway. There's Alberta. She's fired up. And there is a new Hall of Famer, NFCA Hall of Famer, part of the 2024 class, Tim Walton. And this now, can you believe it? Alicia Ocasio, Ava Brown leads off. His 20th year as the head coach of the Florida Gators. He's 20 wins shy from 1K in Gainesville.
Well, I can believe it because he's a great coach, has taught me a lot. I mean, you just look at the depth of his career and what he's been able to do for this program speaks volumes, and I'm just really happy that I was able to be coached under him and that he got what he deserved.
He was inducted in a ceremony in Dallas, Texas. The 0-2 lazily popped up behind home. Mackenzie Woods throws off the mask, and Ava Brown goes down for out number 1. He found out that Tim Walton did. He was going into the Hall of Fame at Amanda Lorenz's wedding. It was the night before the wedding at the celebration. He had to keep it to himself because, you know, that weekend was all about Amanda. So then Tim got the news over the phone, didn't tell anybody. You know, you think of the names that are in that Hall of Fame.
I'd be screaming on the inside.
Jeff Conrad said one of his big mentors, the North Florida head coach, and he puts Tim on a Mount Rushmore of softball coaches of all time.
I agree.
As Mia Williams stands in here with 1 gone. It's hard to argue with that.
It's hard to argue the numbers. I mean, you don't just win by getting a group of great athletes together. You have to foster that when they come in as freshmen, develop them and bring them together. And I think he's done a phenomenal job at that. And
he's coached some of the all-time greats, including the one sitting to my right. The next to Williams is outside. And I think the biggest part of the development here for Mia Williams is, can she hit that off speed this year? Find a little bit more consistency in the average. They feel like she can do that. Had a great off season, outstanding fall. And she'll get hit. Sometimes you just get plunked and take your base. See how much this one hurt.
she took it like a champ.
And she didn't even flinch.
Right on the shin.
Didn't have the shin guard or anything.
She said, I'll take it. Thank you.
Some really cool moments for Mia last year. To think back to the SEC tournament, the 2 home runs that she hit, and that Gators run to a 6th tournament championship. Now it's Riley Holtorf in her debut as a Gator. Former shortstop at Washington. Clips the first foul. And you want to think about the impact she's had on this team in just one off season. She's already a team captain. Got married in the off season. Her husband is living here in Gainesville as well. Her final year of eligibility. Has World Series experience in 2023 with the Huskies. 1-1.
We talked about him getting Holtorf and Cahalen, and he's so hammock. A lot of depth in the transfer portal that he grabbed. I'm excited to watch him this season and see what they can do.
Yeah, Tim Walton didn't think that he would get both. He had to find a way to make it work because you have 2 shortstops on the left side of your infield, Cahalen and Holtorf. Last year was a first-team all Pac-12 performer. Count now level at 2-2. Had a really productive year last year. 336 for Heather Tarr out west, 47 starts.
She just wanted a little sunshine.
That's for sure. And was high school teammates with Jocelyn Erickson. They both won a state championship in 2019. 2 of the best to ever put on the uniform for Sandra Day O'Connor High School, Arizona. So it's come full circle for Holtorf and Erickson. Teammates once again. Count full with Williams at first. Lasered foul. Williams was off of the pitch with full count. What an assignment for Taylor Cook here on opening night to try and navigate this lineup. Her first career start. Taken high. Williams was off again. Holtorf walks. Back-to-back free passes here for the freshman with 1 gone. And the Gators now will turn the lineup over to Kendra Falby. So a real danger zone here for Taylor Cook in her debut.
That's just a sign of a mature hitter. Talk about Holtorf swinging at the first pitch, drawing the count up to 3-2 and taking the walk.
First pitch, bunt is laid down along third. Karafaka lasers one on to first. And that out is collected very close to the bag, but gets the job done as both runners move up. Let's take a look. That's the 2nd out of the inning.
And as upset as Kendra might be about not being saved, it's still a sack. Yep. So it technically doesn't go against her batting average, but great job at putting it down.
2 outs here for the freshman Taylor Shoemaker. You mentioned the buzz around her as an opportunity to drive in her first runs. She is the replacement for Katie Kistler out in right field. Count now 1-1.
That's what I call a pitcher's pitch. That last one was a really good screwball in the corner. Got her a strike call. Tried to kind of bend the corner a little bit, going a little bit lower to see if she would bite, but didn't get the call, and she didn't bite.
Shoemaker flew out to shallow right center in her first at bat. At a 2-1. Grew up in the shadows of Angel Stadium. Big time admirer of Mike Trout. Said he's the reason I wanted to be an outfielder. Worn 27 for most of her career, but of course Kendra Falby has that number. So switching to 21. And the next is clocked on a line. Left center field has some jolt, and that is gone. A laser beam. Second career AB, and Taylor Shoemaker has a home run. Welcome to the orange and blue. Taylor Shoemaker, it's 5-0 Florida.
That is awesome. First hit and first home run as a Gator. She does get the wedgie treatment at home plate, if you were wondering. Takes this oppo, left it up a little bit, and just how impressive is that? I mean, to go oppo, but to go oppo with power. Congrats to Shoemaker. First career hit, first career home run.
First career hit is a 3-run home run. Just a look into the future of what the Gators believe they have in this star first-year player. And how good you have to be as a freshman to crack the top 5 and hit second. Gators, all their runs coming on the long ball. It was Otis who homered back in the first out to left field. You see, too, the gap-to-gap power that Taylor Shoemaker has. That was a swing with ease.
It was, and I'm a little surprised Taylor Cook didn't go back to that curveball that got her out on the last at-bat, kind of lifted out and high for her, but I think she just needed a little bit of a timeout to get settled. We've got some activity in the bullpen. Macy Hunnell getting loose.
Team captain Corby Otis made that decision to transfer from Louisville. It's her senior season. Count now 3-0.
It was a good pitch, Kyle. I wanted that for her as a pitcher. Give her a little break. She's up 3-0, got to fight back.
Four-pitch walk to Otis, who led the nation in that category last year.
Said it in the open. She's not getting a hit. She's probably going to walk. She just has great eyes, but I feel like she's getting a little bit more squeezed right now because those last few pitches I thought were really good. Right in the corners on those.
Here's another team captain, Jocelyn Erickson. Takes strike one. Won a Gold Glove last year. One of 2 Gold Glove returners, along with Kendra Falby. Division I Player of the Year and Catcher of the Year, according to NFCA. Won a Johnny Bench Award for the best catcher in the country. 0-1 taken high. It's the second ever Gator to win NFCA Player of the Year in a historic season. 86 RBI. The Gators now, Alicia, have had back-to-back years where they've had an SEC Player of the Year. 2 years ago it was Skylar Wallace. Last year was Jocelyn Erickson, who also was a top 4 finalist for the Honda Award.
I see a lot of accolades in this lineup.
That clipper, no, just inside. And oh, not to mention, she's probably the best defensive catcher in the country, especially in terms of throwing out runners.
I cannot argue that one. And Coach Walton said that she's just as good a first baseman as she is behind the plate as well.
5-pitch walk to the Gator catcher. Take her base. Back-to-back free passes after a 3-run home run for Taylor Shoemaker. Gators' 2 hits have been 2 home runs. Gators last year at 100 home runs even as Amber Pfizer comes out for a chat inside the circle. That was 9th in the country. Looks like we will have a pitching change as we'll have an Ospreys swing, open that bullpen gate down the right field side. Gators are ready, 3 in the inning, and Florida is threatening for much, much more. We will step aside. Pitching change for the Ospreys. New pitcher for the Ospreys, Macy Hunolt, who is a freshman as well. Comes in for Taylor Cook. Gave up a couple of long balls. Takes on Reagan Walsh. Kyle Crooks, Alicia Ocasio will get into Macy Hunolt. Alicia, what do you see from her?
I see a little bit of a different look, especially coming from that left side. We had Cook throwing low 60s, but Hunolt is coming in with 67, 66, 67. Throwing a curve, screw, changeup, and that rise ball that we'll see here tonight.
There's that changeup that can dip as low as 50 miles an hour. Moscow Mills, Missouri. Walsh bounces this back to Hunolt. And we'll throw that one on to first for the final out of the inning. And Taylor Shoemaker, there's a lot of buzz around this team, and there's a lot of buzz around that right fielder. So what do? Second time to the plate, you just go opposite field for a 3-run blast. Gators up 5 on opening night. Well, if you like the long ball, you'll like this Gator team. They hit 100 home runs last year already. They have 2, one from Corby Otis, one from Taylor Shoemaker. And there's Alberta, who always hits a home run in all of our eyes. One of the great mascots. Join this crowd that is filled out nicely. 73 degrees at first pitch to start a new season. Gators will head to Tampa this weekend. We'll have a busy slate, including the one that stands out amongst those teams, Michigan, who's top 25 in the ESPN poll. That'll be a Saturday matchup. That'll headline one of the best matchups in the country. Cahalen McCarthy takes a first pitch strike.
It's not an opening weekend if the Gators don't go to Tampa and play Michigan.
Yeah. What's odd is the Gators never have a home opener to start a season. Usually they start in Tampa and then they'll work their way back. But this year was unique.
Here on a Thursday.
Softball any day of the week is good.
All the days that end in Y.
What do you see from Keegan Rothrock so far, Alicia?
I think she's staying away a lot in these at-bats, throwing her change up a little bit. She got a strikeout on that as well. We did hear that she has worked a ton on that changeup in the offseason, but you're still going to see that rise, as you just saw. Her best pitch, her bread and butter. It's gotten her so many of her strikeouts last year. But I like the poise that she has in the circle. We talked about the experience that the Gators bring there.
Last year had 16 top 25 wins. Led the nation, and granted the Gators had a deep run in OKC in starts, innings pitched, complete games, just appearances, and wins. Set multiple freshman records for the program. Hoisted in the air, foul ground. Otis had a good jump. She was playing shallow, almost overran it near that sidewall for the first out.
She's just so athletic. Tracks the ball down, makes a good catch. Another out for Keegan Rothrock. And
I take that back, too. Otis didn't almost overrun it. She was perfect. Brings in Lauren Brock. Slowly tap back to Rothrock. 2 names that rhyme. I didn't even see that until that moment. A little Dr. Seuss moment. Rothrock had a 7-pitch first, looking for a quick third. Last year entered the season not quite healthy. Dealt with that thoracic compartment syndrome. A painful condition. Puts a lot of pressure on the lower half. It's Kelsey Vogel. Skies this out to left. We had a quick first, a little bit of an up and down second, but Rothrock sits down the Ospreys in order in the third. Bottom of the third inning here in Gainesville, season opener. There's Macy Huno. Came in relief of Taylor Cook. Couple of freshmen getting the nod here from Jeff Conrad, Kyle Crooks, Alicia Ocasio, our entire crew. Alicia, we'll get your thoughts after this pitch on Taylor Cook, who had a tall mountain to climb in her debut, as Cahalen jams the next foul 1-1.
And I love this decision by Coach Conrad and staff to throw these freshmen in, see what they can do, see how they handle this number 2, number 1 team in the country. I think Taylor Cook came in. I mean, she walked 4 batters, gave up 2 hits, and those 2 hits just happened to be home runs against a freshman and a highly acclaimed left fielder in Corby Otis, first-team All-American. So I hope she doesn't let that moment define her and keeps pushing, because she's got some good stuff. But I love how he just entered another freshman in Hunold, and she's just coming in giving a completely different look. Almost reminds me of Danielle O'Toole coming from the left side. It's kind of hard to see her ball come out her hands, as I can imagine, especially with that changeup.
Yeah, they restocked this pitching staff. Coach Conrad said we can go about 3 starters deep, now have more power arms. Not necessarily the case in the past. 2-2. Cahalen skies this one shallow right. Long run for Culp, traverses into foul ground to make the snag. Cahalen was robbed of a home run her last time out to right center. A nice play by Chloe Culp for the first out.
Hunold just got in her wheelhouse. That ball was inside, and Cahalen couldn't handle it. Really good rundown by Culp in right field. Talk about how quick she's throwing. 66, 67. Don't have a clock today, but can see it getting on them early. Oh, that we do. 64.
Well, here's now Ava Brown, two-way player for the Gators, who was that number 2 starter as a freshman last year. It's interesting about her. She had 13 home runs in her first year, but 12 of them were on the road or at neutral site games. She didn't hit a whole lot of home runs inside this park. Just kind of an anomaly more than anything. Change up low, 2-1. He was 4th on a stacked team in home runs. The 4th most for a Gator freshman all time, tied with Megan Bush.
Anytime there's a pitcher who can hit and does it well, it's extremely impressive. The amount of things that you have to be disciplined with and about to be able to be great at all the things that you're doing on the field is tough.
Warms your heart, Lily, doesn't it?
It does. I want to shed a tear, Kyle.
By the way, do I have the ability to call you Lily? Is that okay?
You
the
can.
Nickname? Okay. It's Alicia Ocasio, by the way, but everybody should know that out there. As Brown takes high, a star of social media, a star of Athletes Unlimited, a star Gator as well. What's this, year 3 for us, Alicia? All games together?
2.5.
2.5?
I was lucky to fill in for Coach Anea now.
Yeah.
Whenever she...
I always say she liked working with me so much that she went to the dugout at first chance. As Kylie Shaw will pitch run, we will have, I believe, the possibility of a second pitching change. That bullpen door is swung open. Don't know, I believe it's just the pitcher heading to the dugout. Huno will stay in the game and face Mia Williams. To have a runner at first, debut for Kylie Shaw, who was thought to redshirt this year, but that's since that plan has changed. Williams hoists one in the air, shallow right. Another play for Culp. Shaw retreats. One pitch for the second out of Williams.
Good try, Mia.
There's Kylie Shaw. Her teammates love her. Freshman from Estero, Florida. Late enrollee. Holtorf Swat to the first, out to Cope, who had a busy inning. A lot of F9s in your book. Holtorf 0 for 1 with a walk to start her Gator tenure. There you see the standard for the Florida Gators. My broadcast partner, Alicia Ocasio, was part of some of those years, going to Oklahoma City 12 times, all under Gator head coach and Hall of Famer Tim Walton. Allison Benning leads off the Osprey fourth. And that's ball one. Keegan Rothrock goes back to work. And they're embracing these expectations, are the Gators. They know what the standard is. The sour taste that was left in their mouth from a year ago. There's a great hype video to start the year that's made by the incredible videographer for Florida softball, Danny Shin. And it started off with that moment of the walk-off for Oklahoma and the shoulders shrugged and the disappointment of how that felt. And you talk to anybody around this team, the extra work that's been put in now, facing that failure, as they may look at it, to now get back to that point and finish the job. As Benning scorches one to third. Nice snag from Cahalen at her third base debut. Hot corner indeed.
Shortstop is one thing, but when you're over there at third base and a ball is screaming at you and you're able to snag it, that's, you see her catch her breath there. Probably didn't even know that she had it, but great play nonetheless.
They feel like she can be an outstanding defensive third baseman, and the unselfishness to take on that new position. And this is her third year of college softball, 2 years as the starting shortstop at Alabama. Started every game, the Tide. 1-0, slammed on the ground to Williams, will field in rhythm for out number 2. This on the heels after Rothrock had a 7-pitch third.
Well, these Ospreys are putting the ball in play. Rothrock with only 2 Ks on the day. Get the bat behind it. It's a matter of finding a hole.
Especially that second inning, Alicia. They were knocking on the door with 2 in scoring position at second and third. This is a team that they want to build that standard. You see Jeff Conrad is coaching at third. They want to be synonymous. When you think Atlantic Sun, you want to think the first school, North Florida. They've had peaks and valleys, according to Coach Conrad, in their history. They've gone to the A-Sun Championship Game 3 in the last 5 years, but there's been some long droughts. Last year, were oh so close to a regional. They were walked off in the 8th inning against Florida Gulf Coast on a home run. Here's Mackenzie Woods. Swings at the 1-0.
And to your point, Kyle, Coach Conrad did talk about the peaks and valleys in his program, but also talked about how this team looks as ready as any team that he's ever had. And the X factor, for lack of better words, in this team is just how serious they took strength and conditioning in the fall.
Yeah, they got an ex-NFL guy who's their strength and conditioning coach. Here's Jeff Conrad. I told him I would not tell you that he's a New York Giants fan, by the way. He said his wife is all in on the Taylor Swift-Travis Kelce deal, so he's got to pick the Chiefs in the Super Bowl or else he'd be sleeping on the couch, and he can't pick the Eagles. We had that little chat at the end of our talk earlier today. Sorry, Coach, about your Giants. It has not gone well. 3-1. Woods hops this foul of third.
Who are you going for, Kyle?
You know what? You can't pick against Patrick Mahomes, but I'm going to. I'm going to go with the Philadelphia Eagles, and the second time these two teams will play in a Super Bowl, I'm going to say Saquon Barkley, again, sorry, Coach, who was a Giant, will have a big game. Payoff is swung through for strike 3. That's the third K for Keegan, and sits down the Ospreys in order for a second consecutive inning. Rothrock mowed them down here on opening night. Beautiful night here in Gainesville. It's finally here. The long wait after Oklahoma City in June, crowning a national champion, which was Oklahoma. We are so back. College softball begins on a Thursday night in North Central Florida. Kendra Falby takes a strike. 5-0, couple of home runs. The Gators only have 2 hits. They both have left the yard. Otis and Taylor Shoemaker. Top of the Gator lineup here with Kendra Falby, who has singled and laid down a sac bunt. You see the numbers from last year for Kendra. Really has emerged into a leader for this team. One of the real bright personalities, Alicia, in that dugout.
I can confirm. Spending a little bit of time with her. She's full of sunshine.
Won a Gold Glove last year. You think of some of the great catches she made, including against Oklahoma State in the opener of the Women's College World Series. She was so proud of that accomplishment. Part of what Tim Walton has said is the best defensive outfield in his now 20 years as Gator head coach.
Yeah, she's nasty. I mean, the way that she can track a ball down and be able to jump and make those grabs is impressive.
Little half swing on to third. Caravaca throw low. Benning could not pick it out. You always got to think a little bit extra with those wheels heading down the first base line, as Flash Falby, as we like to call her.
She puts so much pressure on the defense, gets this ball inside, outs it, and makes the third baseman not pump fake, but make a bad throw. I mean, when you're fast like that, I think anything can happen. All you got to do is put the ball in play.
Well, not in hit. It will be an E5, I believe. They put an error on the line score. Taylor Shoemaker. Who sent a scorcher out to left center field over those aforementioned World Series years. Big hack, 1-1. Just effortless power. Tremendous defender.
Gotta ask her what FTR means on her Evo shield. Maybe I shouldn't.
Let's go back to that second inning. What'd you like about this swing?
We talked about how she just is able to go oppo, but oppo with power. All she does, gets her foot down, keep her hands up, and turn and burn on that ball that's high and out of the zone.
Well, yanks this to second as Falby goes down to second. And there's one away. It was a bat buster. That was her club team, same as Francesca Nea. And many Gators in the past. Here's now Corby Otis. Who has that country flair. At media day, she wore a cowboy hat. She was donning that cowboy hat around and has that country power that we saw back in the first inning.
From her cowboy boots to her
ball in the
down home roots.
This will be a wild pitch. Falby down to third. As she wears those cowboy boots, another one of those great personalities, elite workers. We were talking to Paul Chandler, a longtime strength coach for Florida softball. Some of the strongest, hardest working Gators. Corby Otis at the top of that list.
And what I love about this team, and this is something that I read in an article, Kyle, is how much they're taking initiative to do the extra work. I think Kendra Falby said it herself, is like everyone's out taking extra ground balls, extra fly balls, getting in the weight room on those days off and doing whatever they need to do to make sure that they live up to that standard that we talked about earlier. It's not enough just to go out and practice every day. Sometimes you got to put in that extra work to get to where you want to be.
I'm having issues with that wristband pitch comm device. Actually, no, this is Mackenzie Woods being looked at on the forum. I thought originally they were taking off that pitch comm band, but they're just testing out Woods, who was hit on that one hopper at home plate. And she's okay. We'll stay in the game. We mentioned earlier, we kind of teased it, but the offseason for Corby Otis spent as an intern at UF Shands. Wants to be a cardiothoracic surgeon. Sat in on open heart surgeries this offseason.
That's phenomenal.
As well as her 6 a.m. workouts. Let's go back to what they were looking at with the catcher, Mackenzie Woods. Kind of caught her flush.
Yeah, Hunolt kind of downs this one in the dirt. She does her best to stay in front of it, and unfortunately uses that right form to keep it through. But that's a gamer right there. There's a difference between being injured and being hurt.
Otis loops one to second. That'll keep the runner at bay and Falby at third. A couple of big ground ball outs of Shoemaker and Otis back-to-back to the right side of the infield. And now a 2-out RBI opportunity for the reigning SEC Player of the Year, Jocelyn Erickson. Erickson tonight is grounded out to second. Also reached on a 5-pitch walk. This one gets past Woods. Well, Erickson won't need to swing. A wild pitch brings in Falby, and the Gators tack on one more. 6-0 here in the fourth. That's one way to do it.
It's tough. I think both of those pitches were change-ups, diving into the dirt. When her changeup was on earlier, it was on. Some dives a little bit too much. Looks like a missed spot.
Woods had to slide a long way to come back to try and chest that one down. The Gators a 6-0 lead. They've hit a 2-run home run, a 3-run blast, and scored on a wild pitch. 1-0 to Erickson. 2-0. How does it change your approach now as a hitter, as opposed to 2 outs, runner at third, now bases clear? You can maybe be a little bit more loose, right?
Well, we were talking about Jocelyn Erickson. I feel like she's loose even in those tough spots.
Matter, right?
I mean, with how many RBIs that she's produced, I mean, I don't think she changes her approach. Sounds like she's always just trying to get barrel on ball, and she does exactly that.
That off-speed low. Last year at the World Series, 2 home runs, 6 RBI. Had a full ribby game against Alabama. Sent the Gators to the semis. And show walk. And what was so ironic about the Gators' run last year is Jocelyn Erickson hit a home run against her old team in Oklahoma. Had the opportunity to stop the dynastic run of her former team and teammates.
I'd love that for her. Watching them last year and how electric they were in the postseason made my Gator heart happy.
Reagan Walsh will blast this out to center field. No doubt about it. Into the camera well. An ambush from Walsh. And the Gators now in run rule territory.
What a tank by Reagan Walsh. This pitch by Hunolt, a backdoor that just crosses over the plate a little bit too much. Reagan Walsh just turns and burns, gets over the cameraman in center field. I mean,
out.
That's some serious power.
Just over the petter's eye. Hello.
Hey, how you doing out there? Good?
Got to wear a helmet. We got a duck, head on a swivel. It looks like that'll do it for Macy Hunolt. And we will have a new North Florida pitcher, third of the night. Gators' third home run of the night as well. And Florida is now 3 outs away from a run rule victory here in the fourth. First home run of the year for Reagan Walsh. We are back here in Gainesville. Third pitcher of the night is Cameron Ponick, another underclass arm here for Jeff Conrad from Parker, Colorado. After Macy Hunolt was chased. 2-run home run from Reagan Walsh. has stretched this out to an 8-0 lead, so putting down the Ospreys to their final 3 outs in the top of the 5th inning. Cahalen looking for her first Gator hit. Do want to show you where that home run landed for Reagan Walsh in a little bit. Why, this is a lot tougher job than you may think when you show up to the ballpark and you got to film the game. And we'll get to that in a moment. Cahalen yanks one to right center field. That's a gapper. First Gator hit is an extra base hit for Kenley Cahalen. Welcome to Gainesville.
Ponick leaves a screwball over the heart of the plate, but Cahalen doing what she does and just ripping this pitch up the middle, taking 2 right off the bat. Congrats and welcome to Gator Nation.
So Kenley Cahalen, who had 8 doubles last year, rips one into the gap in right center to welcome Cameron Ponick into the game. That must feel really good. No, nothing but SEC softball in her career as Ava Brown takes strike 1. All right, let's go back to that Reagan Walsh home run. And our guy Sean in the center field camera. We didn't know at the time, but it actually hit him in the lower leg. And that's when you know you're an all-star. When you can stay at your camera, stay to get the shot.
He was just trying to do his job. Glad he's okay, though. We had to check on him after that. In real time, it looked like it went over his head.
An old Smash Mouth song. Hey, now you're an all-star. Get the show on.
It's giving Shrek.
Go play, yeah. Well, Walsh hit that out to the swamps out there over the center field fence. That's where Shrek lived, right?
We got 3 of them, 3 tanks.
3 home runs for the Gators tonight. This one, uppercut in the air center field. Kayla McCarthy, watch this go into her glove for the final out. The Gators continue to rock and roll with the power swings tonight. Alicia Reagan Walsh, who had 19 homers last year, continues with an encore. Gators 3 outs away from a victory tonight, looking for a run rule victory to start a new season, doing the YMCA. And Ava Brown's not doing the YMCA, but she will start pitching here for the Gators in the 5th inning. First look at now the sophomore after we saw Keegan Rothrock. We'll get you her final line in a moment. But Alicia, what do you expect this year from Ava Brown, who can find her way as the number 2 starter once SEC play comes around?
Well, we've already talked about her bat and what she can do in the lineup, but she has some innings under her belt now, having pitched last year alongside Keegan Rothrock. Gonna throw that rise, change, curve, screw and drop, kind of hit all quadrants, but she's been really known to throw that off speed. When her change is on, she's in really good shape, and she's gonna be really hard to hit.
Pitched in the World Series last year, so has experience throughout many big games in SEC play. It's really improved that screwball, spin much better on that pitch. The rise and the screw, her 2 best pitches, and working and developing that changeup. Also learned a drop pitch this offseason. Vast arsenal. And Kirsten Caravaca with the Ospreys down to their final 3 outs. Run rule territory here in the top of the 5th. Just joining us, you missed a lot. You're late. Corby Otis, 2-run home run in the first. Taylor Shoemaker, 2nd career at bat, went out to left center field for a 3-run blast. Reagan Walsh, a 2-run home run that hit our guy Sean, our cameraman, out in center field. Nothing personal, Sean, but Reagan Walsh, she has some legit power. And Keegan Rothrock, we promised her line. 4 innings, 2 hits, no runs, no walks, 3 Ks. Your overarching thoughts on Keegan night 1, Alicia, is what?
I think she looked confident. Stepped on the mound with a chip on her shoulder after having the brunt of the innings last year. Her name was called a ton, and I think she just walked in the mound with confidence and poise, and I love that about her. And I think Ava possesses that same quality, but I love how Ava also celebrates every single win, even if it's just one strike.
Here's Logan Turner, pinch hitter, pops this up. McKenna Belair is now behind home plate, an early enrollee. Will get some reps behind the dish. So a few changes. We see Belair, very young. They asked her to enroll early. The Gators, they were in need of a backup catcher to Jocelyn Erickson. Brooke Bernard has gotten some reps there, but she's not a lifetime catcher. 1-1 is jammed on one hop to Holtorf. Very easy for the newest Gator, 6-3. So Turner goes down.
It's just interesting. You don't see a ton of freshmen reclassed coming into these programs. I feel like you've seen it more so recently, but I can't recall the last time Coach Walton has done that.
Here's Grace Shaw Rocky, pinch hitter, one of the freshmen that North Florida is really excited about. They've had a couple of freshmen that are going to fight for some starting jobs as the year goes along, especially in the outfield, and this being one of them from Bradenton, Florida.
The Ospreys need one to stay in this game. It being 8-0.
Had a big threat in that second and third on Keegan Rothrock. Could not get a run in. The Gator ace had retired the final 9 that she saw. So Rocky rolls this foul. Gators last year, 54 wins, were 17-7 in the SEC. Just behind Tennessee in the regular season race, won their 6th SEC tournament championship. And once again, dominant here at home, 26-6 at KSP. A 1-2 is swung through for Ava Brown's first strikeout in 2025.
How about that off-speed pitch? We talked about how she is phenomenal when she can use that. It's gotten better, but that thing just falls off the table and she pulls a string on it.
There's the year to remember. 1150 win season, 5 NFCA All-Americans. Kennedy McQuillan is the last hope here for the Ospreys. Like Alicia mentioned, UNF needs 1 run to keep this game going, so Ava Brown is 1 out away from sending us all home. And it's McQuillan who's pinch hitting here for Lauren Beavis. Gators will embark on a big weekend in Tampa, Florida. UNF in Jacksonville will host a tournament in the River City this weekend as well. Before you know it, SEC play. 1 strike away for Ava Brown and the Gators. Opening night victory. Back-to-back Ks for Ava Brown. Slams the door. Gators get a run rule victory on night 1. And the long journey begins, Alicia, for the Florida Gators. A big power night. 3 home runs from this lineup.
And I thought they looked solid. Didn't get a ton of hits tonight. I thought the Ospreys pitching staff did a great job aside from those home runs and a few too many walks. But a solid start for the Gators, and I'm excited